Sister came begging me to pay her rent. "I have debts, please," she cried, so I helped her, and for 6 months she lived for free. Everything changed when at family dinner. I'm Robin, 24, from Austin, Texas. I work in tech and make a decent living, enough that I was finally ready to buy my first home. I had been saving for years, watching my bank account grow, dreaming of a place that was mine. No landlords, no roommates, just me and a place I could finally call home. But then my sister knocked. It was late, maybe 9 or 10 at night. I had just settled in after work when I heard the frantic knocking on my door. When I opened it, there she was, Emily, my older sister, looking exhausted, her eyes red as if she'd been crying for hours. I barely had time to ask her what was wrong before she broke down completely. Through tears, she told me she was drowning in debt. Rent was overdue, bills were piling up, and she and her husband, Ryan, were about to be evicted. She said she didn't know where else to go, that she had tried everything, and that I was her last hope. Then came the number. "Robin, please. I need $23,000. I actually laughed for a second, thinking I had misheard her. But she wasn't kidding. On top of that, she asked if I could pay their rent and bills for a few months until they got back on their feet. I just stared at her. That was almost everything I had saved up for my apartment. $23,000, just gone. And then thousands more every month on top of that. I asked her how things had gotten so bad. She mumbled something about credit card debt, an emergency, and Ryan's job not paying enough. But she didn't give me any real answers. She just cried and said she had no one else. And she wasn't wrong, I was the only one in the family with any real savings. Our parents weren't able to help. She knew I had the money, and I could tell she was using it against me. I should have said no. I knew I should have said no. But standing there, watching my sister cry, I couldn't. I wired her the money that night. 23 grand, just like that. And I promised to send her $1,000 every month for the next few months. She hugged me so tight and kept saying that she would pay me back, that she just needed some time. I tried to tell myself that I was doing the right thing, that helping my family was more important than my own plans. But when I went to bed that night, I just stared at the ceiling and felt completely empty. I had no idea what I had just set in motion. At first, I kept telling myself that I had done the right thing. I kept reminding myself Emily was my sister. She was in trouble. This was temporary. She would pay me back. But the doubts crept in almost immediately. The first month, I sent her the $1,000 as promised. She thanked me, told me they were working hard to get things under control, and that things would soon be back to normal. She sounded so relieved that I felt good, like I had actually made a difference. Then, a week later, I got a text message. "Hey Robin, I hate to ask, but we're running low on food. Could you send me $200? Just this once, I swear." I hesitated, but sent it. It was just for groceries. A few days later, another text. "The car battery died. We really can't afford it right now. Could you help? It's $150. I sent it again. Then came the electric bill. Then an emergency vet bill for her cat. Then a medical bill she had forgotten. $50 here, $100 there, $200 the next week. It never stopped. Each time it was urgent. Each time she promised it would be the last time. By the 4th month, I started doing the math in my head, and it made me sick. The $23,000 I gave her up front was gone. Then $1,000 a month, plus all those little extras. I had easily given her over $28,000. And I was still renting. I was still watching my savings dwindle while my dream of buying a home slipped further and further out of reach. That's when I realized something was wrong. I had never really seen any evidence that they were getting better. No sign that they were climbing out of this supposed hole they were in. I decided to check it out for myself. That weekend I went to their house unannounced. Ryan answered the door. The first thing I noticed? He looked way too comfortable for someone who was supposedly desperate. Sweatpants, gaming headset around his neck, drink in his hand. Middle of the day. "Hey, man," he said, stepping aside as if nothing was wrong. Emily came out of the kitchen, acting all happy, like everything was great. She hugged me, thanked me again for all my help, told me I had no idea how much I had saved her. I got right to the point. "How are things going financially?" She sighed and gave me the same answer she always gave me. "Almost there. Ryan's been working and we're catching up. I'll start paying you back soon." But Ryan never mentioned a job. In fact, he never moved from the couch the entire time I was there. I left that day feeling sick to my stomach, but I told myself I was overthinking it. Maybe he had the day off. Maybe I was just paranoid. I was wrong. I told myself I was overthinking. Maybe Ryan really did have a job. Maybe things would turn around and I just needed to be patient. But something felt wrong. By the 5th month, I began to feel the weight of it all. My bank account was draining faster than I was willing to admit. I was still paying rent, still postponing my apartment plans, all while sending Emily $1,000 a month plus the extra little emergencies she kept throwing at me. Then one day I got a call from my mother. She mentioned that she had stopped by Emily's house the other day and had gotten a strange feeling from the whole visit. She said that Emily seemed fine, even happy. Nothing like someone who should be struggling. "They just got a new TV," Mom said. "And a new couch. You'd think if they were that broke, they wouldn't be spending money like that." I felt my stomach drop. A new TV? A new couch? Where the hell did that money come from? Maybe they got it secondhand, I said to myself. Maybe they got an incredible deal. But a few days later, I got another text from Emily. "Robin, can you wire me $300? We got an unexpected bill." I stared down at my phone. For the first time, I didn't answer right away. I sat with it. I thought about Ryan on the couch, unemployed. I thought about the new TV, the new furniture, the fact that 5 months had passed and she hadn't even mentioned paying me back. Then I did something I probably should have done a long time ago. I stopped by her house again. This time I wasn't subtle. I knocked, and when Emily opened the door, I walked in before she could say anything. She looked surprised, but tried to hide it with a smile. "Hey! What are you doing here?" I didn't even sit down. "I got your text. About the $300. She sighed like she was relieved. "Oh, thanks, Robin. Seriously, this is the last time." I cut her off. "Where did you get the money for a new TV?" Her face changed instantly. She hesitated just a second too long. "Oh, that? Ryan's mom helped us out." I stared at her. "Ryan's mom?" I repeated. "So she can buy you a TV, but she can't help with the rent?" She shifted uncomfortably. "It's not like that, Robin. She got a good deal and dash." "Emily," I said, my voice firm. "Where's my money?" She opened her mouth, but before she could answer, Ryan came in from the bedroom, rubbing his eyes as if he had just woken up. He froze when he saw me. "Hey, man," he said slowly. "What's up?" I looked at him. "Where do you work, Ryan?" Silence. Emily gave him a look. Then, as if he thought it was funny, Ryan grinned. "Oh, here and there." "Here and there?" I repeated. "Because every time I come over, you're home." Emily quickly jumped in. "Robin, stop. You don't understand dash." "No, I don't," I said, turning back to Ryan. "Explain it to me. I've given you over $28,000. You told me you were going to get back on your feet. So tell me, where's my money?" Ryan scratched the back of his head. "Dude, relax. You make good money, right? It's not like you needed it right away." I felt my blood run cold. Emily looked like she wanted to leave. She grabbed Ryan's arm and whispered something, but he just laughed. I turned and walked out. I didn't say another word. I got in my car and just sat there, gripping the steering wheel so hard my hands hurt. I had been played. And I had no idea how bad it was going to get. I didn't send Emily the $300. I ignored her messages for the first time in 5 months. She tried to call once, but I let it go to voicemail. Then she texted me a sad story about how stressed she was, how she didn't know what to do, how she felt terrible asking me, but she had no choice. I left her on read. That's when the messages changed. A day later, she sent a long, guilty text about how I had promised to help, how she and Ryan were doing the best they could, and how she couldn't believe I was acting this way. Then another one about how I clearly didn't care about the family. Then another, shorter this time. Wow. Thanks for nothing. I should have expected this, but it still pissed me off. After all I had given her, she had the nerve to act like I was the bad guy. I wanted to respond. I wanted to tell her exactly how I felt. But I didn't. Instead, I called my mom. I told her everything. The money. The excuses. The new TV. The fact that Ryan didn't even work. She was silent for a long time. Then she sighed. I knew something was wrong, she said. Your father is losing his mind. And she was right. A week later, we were all at a restaurant for my dad's birthday. A big family dinner, just like every year. Emily and Ryan showed up late and acted like everything was fine. She hugged my parents, kissed my dad on the cheek, wished him a happy birthday, as if she didn't owe me thousands of dollars. Ryan, of course, looked completely unconcerned, like he didn't have a care in the world. I stayed quiet most of the night. I didn't want to start a fight at Dad's birthday dinner. But then, about halfway through, someone mentioned money. Something about the housing market, how expensive everything was getting. And just like that, Ryan decided to open his mouth. Man, he said, swirling his drink. We've been living stress-free for months now, all thanks to Robin. I froze. Emily, across the table, went rigid. But Ryan, completely oblivious, just kept going. Seriously, dude, you made it so easy. Like, why would I even bother getting a job when I can just hook up with you? He laughed. Like it was funny. I didn't say anything. I just stared at him. Emily, now completely panicked, reached over and grabbed his arm. Ryan, stop talking. But he just grinned and pulled his arm away. Oh, come on, babe. It's no secret. Robin is our personal ATM. Best setup ever. The entire table fell silent. Then my dad put down his fork. He looked at Ryan, then at Emily. His expression was unreadable, but I knew the look. Is that true? He asked Emily. She swallowed. Dad, it's not like... But Ryan, still completely unaware of how badly he had just screwed up, leaned back in his chair and grinned. Relax, old man. Robin's making plenty. He hasn't even spent the money yet. My father stood up so quickly that his chair scraped the floor. His face turned red. You lazy, worthless piece of dash. Emily shot up from her chair, hands in the air as if to calm him down, but it was too late. You've been living off your brother for months? Dad's voice was deep, dangerous. And you're proud of it? Ryan actually rolled his eyes. Oh my God, you people are so dramatic. Dad lunged. Ryan barely had time to react before my father grabbed him by the collar and pulled him out of his seat. The entire restaurant turned to watch as Ryan stumbled backwards and almost fell. My mother gasped. The waiter dropped a tray. Emily yelled, Dad, stop! But my dad wasn't done. Get the hell out of here, he growled, shoving Ryan toward the door. You're not at my table. Get out. Ryan, looking shocked for the first time all night, actually turned to Emily for help. Babe? But Emily just stood there, shaking. Go, Dad said again. Ryan opened his mouth as if to argue, but then Dad took a step forward. And Ryan ran. Straight out the door, past all the staring customers, onto the lawn outside. Then Dad turned to Emily. And you? You better have a damn good reason for this. I thought she was going to break down crying, begging for forgiveness. But she didn't. She did something I never saw coming. She turned to me, her eyes burning with anger. And she said, This is your fault, Robin. For a second, I thought I had misheard her. My fault? I stared at Emily, waiting for her to take it back, to realize how crazy that sounded. But she didn't. She folded her arms, her face flushed not with shame, but with anger. This is your fault, she repeated. The whole table fell silent. Even my mother, usually the peacemaker, looked stunned. Dad was the first to recover. Excuse me? Emily ignored him and turned her full attention to me. You didn't have to make such a big deal out of this, Robin. You were fine. You had the money. You act like we stole it from you. I laughed, really laughed. You did steal from me. She shook her head as if I was being ridiculous. I told you I'd pay you back. But instead of just giving us time, you had to turn everyone against us. Time? I repeated. Emily, it's been 6 months and you've spent my money on a damn new TV while your husband sits at home unemployed. Her eyes flashed. We needed things, Robin. I wasn't going to let my family live in squalor while you sat on a pile of cash. Dad slammed his hand down on the table, making everyone jump. That's enough. His voice was deadly calm. You used your brother. Lied to him. Took his money and didn't even have the decency to feel guilty about it. Emily turned to him, now desperate. Dad, please. We were struggling. I thought a family was supposed to help each other. Help, Dad repeated slowly. Helping is one thing. Taking advantage is another. She scoffed. Oh, come on. You're acting like I'm some kind of criminal. Dad pointed to the door. Get out. Emily's face lost color. Dad dash. I said get out. His voice was final. She turned to Mom, but Mom just shook her head, looking completely exhausted. You did this to yourself, Emily. For a second, I thought she might cry. Maybe apologize. Maybe finally realize what she had done. Instead, she grabbed her purse, knocked over her chair, and stormed out. The entire restaurant was still watching. Ryan was already outside, standing awkwardly at the curb, as if he wasn't sure whether to leave or wait for her. She marched right past him without a word. I exhaled and ran a hand through my hair. Well, that went well. Dad sat back down and picked up his fork as if he hadn't just kicked a grown man out of a restaurant. Let's eat. Mom sighed and rubbed her temples. Jesus Christ. Dinner was tense after that, but eventually the conversation picked up again. People laughed. We tried to move on. But something in my gut told me it wasn't over. And I was right. The next morning I woke up to the sound of my phone exploding. Missed calls. Texts. Dozens of them. From Emily. I opened the latest message and my blood ran cold. She had sent me a picture. It was a picture of my car, parked in front of my apartment. And underneath it, just 3 words. I want revenge. I stared down at my phone, my mind racing. Revenge? For what? For finally standing up for myself? For calling her on her lies? She had taken my money, spent it like it was her own, laughed behind my back, and now she was threatening me? For a brief second, I considered calling her. To ask her what the hell she thought she was doing. But then I stopped myself. She wanted me to panic. She wanted me to play her game. I wasn't going to. Instead, I took the smart way out. First, I called a lawyer. I explained everything, how she had lied about her debt, manipulated me into giving her money, and then refused to pay me back. He listened carefully, then asked, Do you have records of everything? I did. Every wire transfer. Every text in which she admitted to taking the money. Every message promising to pay it back. That's good, he said. This is really good. This is fraud. We can take legal action. He drew everything up that same day. A formal demand letter was sent to Emily, giving her 50 days to pay back the full amount or face legal consequences. If she didn't, we would file a lawsuit for fraud, and she could actually go to jail. Then I filed a police report. Just in case. Because if she was crazy enough to send me a photo of my own car with a threat, I wasn't taking any chances. Emily found out quickly. She tried to call me, but I ignored her. Then the text started. First, she was angry. "You're actually suing your own sister?" Then she tried guilt. "Robin, please, I don't have that kind of money. I have a family." Then she turned to threats. "You're going to regret this. I swear." I ignored all of this. A week later, my lawyer told me that she had officially received the demand letter. And from what I heard through my mother, she was completely out of her mind. She tried to play the victim, saying that I was cruel, that I was ruining her life, that she never meant to hurt me. No one bought it. Not Mom. Not Dad. And certainly not me. Emily had 50 days to come up with the money. If she didn't, she would face real legal consequences. And for the first time in 6 months, I finally felt like I was regaining control. Emily had no choice. She tried to fight it, tried to stall, but with the threat of a lawsuit hanging over her head, she cracked. A month later, the money was back in my account. Every last cent. She didn't return it out of guilt, or because she finally saw the error of her ways. She did it because she was backed into a corner. Because she knew that if she didn't, she'd be facing actual fraud charges. And jail wasn't a place she or Ryan wanted to end up. The day the final payment cleared, she sent me a final message. "I hope you're happy. You ruined our lives." I didn't reply. I didn't even care anymore. I blocked her number, blocked Ryan's, and made it clear to my parents that Emily no longer existed as far as I was concerned. I was done. But my dad, he wasn't. A few weeks after everything was settled, he called me. His voice was calm, almost too calm. "Hey, just thought you'd like to know I sold Emily's car." I blinked. "Wait, what? The one she and Ryan drive?" "Yeah. It was never really hers. It was my wedding present to her, remember? But I never transferred ownership. Still legally mine." I burst out laughing. "You're kidding." "Not at all," he said. "I figured if she could steal from her own brother, she didn't deserve anything from me." And just like that, Emily and Ryan woke up one morning to find their car gone. She called Mom in a rage and demanded to know where it was. Mom just told her, "Maybe you should have thought about that before you screwed over your brother." That was the last I heard from her. A few days later, I did what I should have done months ago. I finally bought my apartment. It felt surreal to walk into a place that was mine, knowing that no one could take it away from me. No more throwing money away on rent. No more waiting. I had wasted 6 months on Emily's lies, but in the end, I got my money back. More importantly, I got my life back. As for Emily, I guess she learned that there are consequences to using people. And that some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt.